Welcome back to the Breaker Bros, and we just heard some breaking news or news that came out the last couple of days from Adam Schefter. It looks like they confirmed with Joe Burrow's doctor that he should be all go, systems all go by the beginning of the season. So I think that's great news. I don't know if anyone expected any differently. I guess for me at least, it seemed like we kind of expected him to start unless we heard otherwise, but I guess this is more of kind of like a relief, and it kind of gets us a little bit more excited going into the season.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, we were hoping. I think we've been hopeful that he'll be ready to go week one. So it's better than the opposite news, right? Someone saying, "Oh, we don't know he's going to be ready or not." So hopefully everything is ready to go in terms of his physical recovery, and then hopefully he picks up right where he left off last year, because he looked like he had a lot of potential to do some big things for the Bengals.
I don't know. I guess for me, I'm mentally scarred with Carson Palmer and when he got hurt, and it just seemed like when he came back, he was never the same. But I also feel that Burrow is a completely different animal, and it's kind of funny, the conversations that we had the last couple of weeks, you kind of gave me more confidence about it, because you kind of said, well, I really don't care. Like, you kind of just said, it is what it is, and so it's kind of like a good perspective, and it's kind of funny, like, after that conversation, kind of this news came out, and it just kind of, for me, was just reassuring. But hopefully we kind of take it slow at the beginning of the season, and just because he's not going to be able to do some of the things that he did last year in terms of in the pocket and being able to escape. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I just feel like that type of injury, it actually takes maybe multiple years to actually get back to full speed. But I'm not sure if you have any insight on it or any.
Yeah, I don't have a medical degree either, so I don't know. I'm just hoping. I don't know what you compare it to, because he's not. I mean, he runs, so I mean there is some of that. But as long as he can still throw it, you would think that he'd be okay. Because I mean, you would hope that maybe he does a little bit less some of the higher risk running that he did last year. And learn to kind of play a little bit more in the offense and kind of pick and choose his spots. I mean, I guess the way I've always looked at it was like, the years where Seattle had offensive line problems, they would always seem like they would try to shorten the game, where they would run a lot in the first three quarters, and then cut the quarterback loose in the fourth quarter to make plays, kind of keep it close, and then let the quarterback win it at the end, as opposed to getting into a shootout for the whole game, and trying to have the quarterback win it on his own for four quarters. Maybe you keep it a little bit closer, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think the schedule, the first couple of games, even though we're going against a few what I would consider tough defenses, it's against teams that I would imagine that we would have success against. So it's not like we're playing against any real dominant team. I think the Steelers are obviously going to always be tough at home, but it's the Steelers game that always scares me, because of those. It's those games that we seem to take the most hits, or take the most awkward hits, or maybe get the most no calls. So it's really the Steelers, the one I'm worried about. But I mean, if we can get through most of the first part of the season, then I'll definitely have more confidence throughout the season. But it kind of got me thinking, like, if Joe Burrow is fully healthy, then how would we rank the quarterbacks within our division from top to bottom? So I kind of have a list in mind.
All right, well, let's hear it. Do you want to go from like 4, 3, 2, 1, or do you want to go 1, 2, 3,
we'll just go top from bottom. I mean, I don't think there's any.
Okay. All right,
special...
so who's your number one quarterback in the AFC North?
And this is just from my personal perspective and kind of all the things I put together, but I would definitely go with Lamar Jackson as of right now. And I like to take in experience, talent, upside, things like that. But I mean, it's hard to argue.
So when you say talent, what do you mean by talent?
Just his ability to run outside of the pocket. I mean, he's a very dynamic player. No one has really solved the problem of actually slowing him down outside of the pocket. It just comes down to, can he get over the hump and be more of an accurate passer down the field? I'm not saying he's like Drew Brees arm-wise, but he's enough for what he possessed in a running game, opposite of what he in his passing ability to get by. So it's, for me, he's a very dynamic player. Like I wouldn't even say that he's got an average arm. I mean, what I would say he's got probably average accuracy is probably, especially down the field. That's probably where he's going to get the most exposed. But he is a very dynamic player. He's very talented, especially when it comes to running the ball. And until I see teams actually slowing him down, which I don't right now, I have to go with him. And I think he's going to get better, and I think he has gotten better.
Yeah, that's the one thing that surprised me, because I was looking at the Burrow versus Lamar Jackson comparison, and it's so if you look, right, this is Lamar Jackson's third season, so you think he's old, but it says he was only 23 last year, right? And then this year he'll be the same age as Joe Burrow during Joe Burrow's rookie year, right? And then if you compare their completions percentage, Joe's first year to Lamar's third year, I mean, it's not a huge difference, right? I mean, obviously, I think that, some of it is probably Lamar's got making easier throws, but the throws are easier because teams are afraid of him running. So, I mean, to me, you get credit for that as well. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, until you figure out actually how to stop him, like outside of the pocket, that's what I'm saying. He can get by with some of the stuff, and I think I've seen enough improvement throughout the last couple of years, especially when it comes to passing down the field, for me to think that he can still improve. But this could definitely change throughout the year. But I'm just saying, like, going into the year, for me, the clear number one quarterback is Lamar Jackson.
So you don't buy the argument that, like, the NFL's figured him out, that his lack of playoff success, as the argument goes, is because the good teams know how to play him, and if you keep him in the pocket, then he can't beat you. You would disagree with that, right?
Of course, because I mean, if we go back in time, and this is just me thinking in my head, it took a little while for Peyton Manning to do anything in the playoffs, and once he did, he like turned on the switch. I think it was like his 7th year. I mean, this is only Lamar Jackson's 4th year. So I mean, we're still pretty early.
This is his 4th year, but I think the age is even more instructive, right?
I think what it is too, I think that's the Mahomes effect, is that Mahomes has proven that you can have success really quick, and I think the problem is that he's had that really good success and won the Super Bowl and MVP. That's kind of what Lamar Jackson is chasing, because Lamar Jackson's won the MVP, he just hasn't won the Super Bowl, right? So it's like, I think people's perceptions is like and the league has changed over the years. Like it seems to be more common where you have to have that early success, or you're going to be labeled as a bust, or didn't live up to expectations. But I think obviously he's still very young, and like I said, he's already won the MVP. It's just, until I see like real big flaws, then yeah, he's my number one. It's a tough decision, because in a weird way, I think all of the quarterbacks in our division are kind of like pretty close to each other. Actually, they're all not too far off each other. So
okay, so who's your number 2 then?
And it kind of goes back to the beginning with the healthy Joe Burrow. I'm going with Joe Burrow. Like, I think he would have won Rookie of the Year last year had he been healthy the whole time. Like, he was putting up incredible numbers, like passing yards. It was just crazy what he was doing. It was also very sad in what happened, and like I said, I'm still a little scarred from it. But I just think I think could be the overall number 1 quarterback, consensus number 1 quarterback in the division, if he just stays healthy and continues to do what he does. But from all the film and all the breakdowns I've seen of different analysts and all that, is that he makes really good decisions. Like, he is literally, like, he just understands the game on a whole nother level. He's like literally playing Madden out there. So it's like the object of the franchise and the coaches is to keep him up. If we keep him up, we're going to have success. It's literally that simple. And I didn't buy into it until I really looked at the film. And it is kind of a match made in heaven when you think about it. When he's got Jamar Chase, he's basically got the recreation of his offense that he had in LSU with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. I mean, that's basically Chase, Marshall, and I want to say Jefferson, but it's not Jefferson.
Yeah, it's Jefferson. Yeah,
Justin Jefferson. Oh, okay. I always get his name wrong, I feel like, but
yeah, I get the first name.
But
wrong.
yeah, we're just basically we're the pro version of that offense, and it's proven that if you give Joe Burrow multiple options to throw to, he can just dissect the defense. It just comes down to keeping him upright, and then I feel like he's not going to have some of the crazy plays that we're accustomed to from his first year, from the first half of last year, just breaking out of the pocket. Because like I said, I just think it takes a year or two where you get that mental confidence to be able to do it. But outside of that, just his mental ability and mental capacity is just on a whole nother level. They were even saying that going in, because they were trying to adjust the offense to Joe Burrow last year, that he was actually ahead of the coaches because the coaches were trying to catch up to what they were doing at LSU. So it was just like they were telling him, "Hey, Joe, just slow down," and that like blew my mind. Like, I could, but like I said, just going over like some of the things I've seen on film from other analysts and just seeing his performance is true what they say. He's got the mental capacity for it. Plus, he is athletically not like he doesn't have the most overpowering arm, but he's just. To me, he's like literally a point guard. Like, he's a true point guard to the truest sense. If you were to compare it to another sport, is that he's just going to get the ball to the right person, and he just puts the right amount of touch. And it's just he has like one of the most catchable balls. Basically, it's not going to be the hardest or the most deepest or whatever you want to call it, but it's just they're catchable, right? So definitely, to me, Joe Burrow, if healthy, is the clear number 2.
Yeah, well, he's full systems go, right? Or all systems go. So.
That's yeah.
But you know, I'm gonna be optimistic about it. You know, I like the games that he played. He looked like he had the potential to be great. You know, I mean, I felt like, you know, Bengals fans, we deserve this. You know, we've suffered through a lot, and you know, we deserve to get, you know, something good. Of course, you know, then he got hurt, but hopefully. Well, I'm going to remain optimistic. I mean, it's going to be a much more fun offseason, thinking about the potential and, you know, convincing myself that he's going to be good health-wise, and then I get to be optimistic until proven otherwise. And that's a much better way to deal with the summer of 2021. I mean, after 2020, all the COVID stuff, you know, things are opening up. It's the summer. I'm going to believe that Joe Burrow is going to be healthy, and then he's going to pick up where he left off, and I'm going to be excited about the NFL season coming up here in just a few months.
Yeah, and
all right.
I guess one more thing I will say to that is, as long as Mixon stays healthy as well, that's really going to help out Joe Burrow if he can definitely help carry that load.
Yeah, well, I like the guy that we drafted out of Michigan. I thought he was a good player. Watching a few games that he played, and I was really surprised that you could get that level of an athlete in the 6th round. So, you know, not to say that I hope that, obviously, I hope that Mixon plays as well, but I'm also excited about the new guy. I mean, I will miss Gio though. He was one of my favorite players. So. Yeah. That stinks that he's gone, but yeah. Let's pretend everybody's going to be healthy. Everybody's going to be awesome next year, and the offense is going to light it up and be a lot of fun to watch.
Okay, and then I would go for my 3rd quarterback. I would have to say Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, okay.
Yeah, and I don't think Baker Mayfield is the greatest quarterback. I think he's definitely above average. I think he is more athletic than what people think. I think he actually, in terms of like arm strength, he might have the best arm strength right now currently in our division.
Yeah. He can throw it. I was surprised.
He throws darts.
I mean,
he can, especially the intermediate throws. Like he is so accurate with those. He's like an upgraded version of Andy Dalton. Is the way I look at him. He's like Andy Dalton 2.0. Like literally, that's kind of like the way I look at him.
Yeah, he's like Andy Dalton. We worked out some of the bugs.
Yeah. He's like literally Andy Dalton 2.0, and that's not a knock because I feel like he's going to be or is a successful quarterback.
Clarify that.
Yeah.
It's not a knock.
No, it's not.
Bengals fans, we like Andy Dalton.
I've always liked Andy Dalton. Anyone that
I know,
knows me,
but I mean, like to the broader world, you compare somebody to Andy Dalton, they think that you're.
I think a lot of people would understand where I'm coming from, but
no, I'm with you. But,
but it's just kind of like, again, this is kind of my perspective. I see him as a very, like, if you need someone to run your offense, he's the guy. Like, I feel like he's competitive. I like that, but there's definitely some shortcomings. I don't think he's necessarily a guy like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady where you could put everything on his back and make you win a game. Whereas I think Joe Burrow can do that. I don't think Baker Mayfield's that guy because I think it's been proven that, especially with their run game being crazy good, it's definitely taken a lot of pressure off of him, and he's actually performed a lot better with that pressure off. But just compared to the other quarterbacks, I give him a slight edge over Roethlisberger because I honestly think Roethlisberger is just in decline. He just doesn't seem like he can hold up. Or even
just for fun, I compared. I pulled up the same year, so comparing 2019 Baker to 2006 Ben Roethlisberger on the Pro Football Reference site. So
this
is per game.
Really not too much of a difference, is it?
No, that's what I was looking at. I was trying to find out, like, is there like something that jumps out as being really different? I mean, not a ton different, right? I mean, Baker throws it one more time, or throws it 2 times more per game, completes 1 more. Yardage is pretty close. TDs, I mean, slight edge to Baker, but I mean, I guess less interceptions, less sacks. They're pretty close to the same as a runner. They run twice a game. Basically, if the defense stops paying attention, they can make you pay a little bit. But it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, no, it's. I don't think most people would expect that, but yeah,
I think the biggest difference though with Ben Roethlisberger, right? Watching him play, like this says 3 sacks. He probably should have been sacked like 12 times, or not 12 times, but I mean, if you're watching Bengals games, I remember there was like until Carlos Dunlop showed up, it seemed like we didn't have a guy on the defensive line that could tackle him. Like we had guys that could get to him, but nobody could bring him down until we got somebody around his height that had the leverage to pull him down.
Yeah, he's definitely in his prime. He would be probably my number 1 quarterback going into the season, but he's definitely past his prime. I think a lot. He showed me a lot last year just because in the grand scheme of things, he was able to stay, healthy, or he wasn't like hit so much to where, they had to take him out or rest him or whatever. It was just his body literally broke down, and like his arm literally turned into a turd sandwich in like the last.
Literally?
Yeah, no, it was bad.
Figuratively turned into a turd sandwich, maybe?
You could just see, the turds coming out every time he threw it. No, it was really bad. Like, even, like, people that I would say defended him for a while, like, it was just, you could see it. I mean, it was just on the film. Like, you could tell that the Steelers didn't trust him throwing it down the field. Like, it was just, everyone was like, like, it was like gasp. Like, it was just, and it's so funny because if you kind of, like, replay the season, last season, like, there was just like they started 10-0, like they were hot. Yeah. But then I guess if you kind of look back, they played a lot of easy teams too. But yeah, they just looked like they were the team to beat, kind of at the one point, or the team that was going to give the Chiefs the most difficult time. And then like the last 4 or 5 weeks, they fell apart. And really, the sign was, remember, like they played a meaningful game against the Bengals backups, and we destroyed them. Like that
Well, I mean, everybody knows you don't want to play primetime Ryan Finley.
would right.
That's a
I know.
recipe for disaster.
Ryan Finley could be the starting quarterback in the Texans.
Oh, really?
He could be. And we traded
I'm
him.
a big Ryan Finley fan, and after he beat the Steelers like that,
Yeah, he will always have a special place in my heart too.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever see him, I'll buy him a drink.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, that was the first sign. I mean, that was actually, it really didn't mean anything to the Bengals other than it'd be really cool to beat the Steelers in a primetime game. And then, because I want to say, had the Steelers won that game, that would have been a lock for the playoffs. So like, they had every reason to beat us, and we actually made them look stupid. Like that was the Juju TikTok like situation where was it Von Bell? Yeah, knocked him out. That was a vicious hit. It was awesome. It was just like, it was literally a dream. But yeah, no, to me that was just like the first sign of trouble, and it just literally went downhill from there. It was like almost as if we exposed something. But I think the writing was on the wall. But it's just funny too, going into this season. I don't know what the Steelers are doing. I know there's not much they can do because I guess they're cash strapped, but it almost seems, and it really seems weird to say this, especially because the Steelers have such a rich history of just being really competitive and always in the hunt. I just don't see it this year. It almost seems like they were just ready to tank. Like, it just seems like they're ready.
I'm not as optimistic about that as you. I mean, because I agree that he looked like he ran out of gas towards the end of the season, but like looking at the overall stats for last year and like comparing it over time, I mean, I don't see. I mean, obviously, 2019 injury shortened season, but
and then the Steelers center retired, and they didn't really do anything to address that.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive line. I mean, people complain about the Bengals' offensive line. The Steelers' offensive line has issues in terms of.
They gotten worse, right?
You would assume, but I don't know. I feel like every year, I look at what the Steelers are doing in the offseason. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the year we get them, and they always seem to.
I mean, that's true.
Seem to bounce back. I mean, they've got a really good coach, and they just sort of figure it out as they go. So, I hope you're right.
I mean, defensive wise, they're always going to be tough, and a turnover machine. I feel like they just always seem to be good with that. But offensive wise, I just don't see it. Like, they have decent receivers, definitely for sure, or above average receivers.
What was the last year that you got hurt before 2019? Was it like 2015?
I think he's been. You're talking about Ben Roethlisberger?
That was a game where, Roethlisberger. So 2015, I think that was the last time he was hurt, and he had kind of a down year.
I think he's been hurt for like the last 3 or 4 years, but like, I mean, it's always those.
Yeah, maybe it was, I mean, definitely 2019, but I don't know. I just feel like I prematurely thought that Ben Roethlisberger has declined and was ready to be done so many times. I mean, a few times that I'm more on the like, I hope you're right kind of phase, but I'll believe it when I see it, because I mean, it's about time, man. Where's this law of averages? He's his 17th season. I mean, come on.
I mean, he could also. I could also see where he proves everyone wrong. I mean, that's also a possibility. I mean, if he
I mean, that's what I'm used to. But I guess if you look at average yards an attempt, is there a change? I'm just trying to find something.
That's kind of tough too,
because that there's like a market decline. You know what I mean? I mean, yards a game are down compared to like 2018, but I mean, that was a great year. I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards in 2018. I mean, that still looks like a good season. 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. But I guess to kind of go back to what you're saying, I think last year was kind of the first year where I just could see him physically decline. Like, it was like.
Yeah, but remember like the last year that Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. I mean, like, it looked like he was throwing frisbees,
Yeah,
it still worked. I mean,
I just don't think Ben Roethlisberger is as smart as
know so much.
Peyton Manning. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he's very, very experienced and smart when it comes to, because like he probably knows the division like the back of his hand at this point. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger knows a lot more than some of the coaches on the Browns or even the Bengals. Maybe not so much the Ravens, because I think they've always been really competitive. I think they've always been on the same, and I think they've had the same coaching staff for a while too. So that's a big difference. But yeah, I would say that would be my list. I would definitely go with Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Burrow.
So the final
Mayfield.
ranking is Lamar.
Yep, Lamar.
Let's see if I can get the pictures in case anybody forgets what Lamar Jackson looks like. Then
Right.
Burrow.
Then Burrow.
All right. So I got Burrow.
And then Mayfield.
Then Baker. And then Ben Roethlisberger.
And then Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay. I mean, it's fair. I don't think I could argue a ton either way. I'm going to be just over the top optimistic, and if I did anything different, I would put Joe Burrow 1, because I'm going to believe that he's going to come back, pick up where he left off, and this new offense we're going to turn into, the 90s Colts.